In my last video, I explained why podcasts are such a powerful tool for learning English, and why, in many ways, they're far more effective than watching movies. Today, I want to show you a simple but very powerful trick that can help you understand English podcasts much more easily, even when they're full of difficult vocabulary, slang, and idiomatic expressions. Improving your English isn't just about consuming more content, it's about choosing the right kind of content. Podcasts have a huge advantage because they expose you to natural, everyday English as it's actually spoken. Unlike movies, where dialogue is often exaggerated, scripted, or designed mainly for entertainment, podcasts usually sound like real conversations between real people. You hear authentic expressions, natural rhythm, and realistic sentence structures, exactly the kind of English you'll encounter in real life. Another major benefit of podcasts is the sheer amount of listening practice they give you. A single episode can easily be 30 minutes or more of continuous spoken English. And because podcasts are so easy to replay, that exposure adds up quickly. Over time, your brain starts to adjust to how English really flows, how people pause, emphasize ideas, hesitate, and think out loud. If you listen consistently over weeks and months, your comprehension improves naturally and steadily. Podcasts are even more effective when you choose topics you genuinely care about. When you're interested, your motivation stays high, and learning doesn't feel like hard work anymore. On top of that, podcasts train your listening skills more intensely because there are no visuals. Without images to rely on, your brain has to focus fully on pronunciation, intonation, and speed, which is exactly what you need for real-world conversations. Combined with the flexibility to listen anytime and exposure to real accents at natural speed, podcasts become one of the most practical and enjoyable ways to build vocabulary, confidence, and fluency. So yes, podcasts are an ideal way to practice and improve your English. But let's be honest, some podcasts can still be difficult to understand, especially when speakers use slang or idiomatic expressions. And ironically, that's exactly the kind of language we want to learn from podcasts. This is where ChatGPT or similar AI tools can be incredibly helpful. Let me give you a concrete example. I was listening to the Pivot podcast with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway, and I noticed that certain words, phrases, and idioms kept coming up. Expressions that are common for native speakers, but not always easy for non-native listeners to understand. So I asked ChatGPT something like this. I'm listening to the Pivot podcast with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. As a non-native speaker, I find some commonly used words, phrases, and idioms difficult to understand. Could you create a list of the most common expressions that would help me follow this podcast more easily? Please provide the list as a PDF with a short explanation for each expression. Focus on the last 20 episodes and feel free to make the list extensive. ChatGPT clearly had a lot to process. The response took longer than usual, and when it arrived, the result was honestly impressive. I received a 20-page PDF that started with a brief overview of the last 20 episodes. After that, it presented around 120 expressions, many of them colloquial, idiomatic, or informal, each with a clear explanation. The expressions were organized alphabetically, but you could just as easily ask ChatGPT to organize them by episode instead. What I really love about this approach is that it doesn't just help you understand a specific podcast. It also becomes a powerful way to expand your personal vocabulary using real, modern English, the kind people actually speak. You'll find a copy of the exact prompt I used in the video description below, so you can try this yourself with any podcast you like. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.